2,500 people. And I probably won't even, I don't want to talk about how many I've fired, you know, for various reasons. So I've got this employment thing down pretty well. I know what employers are looking for. Um, and what I want to do with this session tonight is I want to really make it interactive. And what I offered to the earlier session today, I said, if you engage and if you stay on and you answer questions and you jump in for hot seat coaching and so on, I have a $2,500 course that I sell to. This is really more a mid-manager level course, but it's on interviewing and getting the job, and it's all video. It was $2,500 when I included one-on-one coaching, but the video itself, you'll get all the content. You'll get a link to it for free. But all I'm asking in return is that you engage, because I genuinely don't believe that you can learn if you're not engaged. Like, I don't want to sit here and lecture to you. I want you to participate. As an executive coach, I work with companies, Fortune 500 companies, global companies. I coach executive teams and I coach executives one-on-one. So I have executives that are paying out of their pocket because they want to excel their growth. And I have organizations that pay me as a company to work with their whole executive teams. So that's kind of my background. Some of the companies I work for, Fisher Scientific, UPMC, Carnegie Mellon University, and not as in their faculty, but I coach their executives. Trying to think of, there are just multitudes of them that I can't think of right now. So that's kind of what I want to start with. And I want to start by asking you a question about the interview process. We're gonna talk about two things tonight. We're gonna talk about the interviews, and then I'm gonna transition it over, and I want to talk about your social media profile and how vastly important that is for you. So I want to get started by talking about the interview process, and I want to ask you, what do you think is the most important thing when you go on an interview? Anybody have a guess?
First impression.
How you
First
dress.
impression? Yeah. What else?
How you dress.
How you dress. That's all. It all matters. Video is even getting more difficult because you get so used to being only dressed from the waist up, right? You know, and you got to do that. So how you dress, first impression. What if I were to tell you that the most important thing to remember on an interview is that it's not about you? Like, does that sound counterintuitive to you? Yeah, they're nodding. Yeah, it's kind of counterintuitive. And I can promise you this, the interview is about the employer. Right? So I want you to think about it. You're at work, you've got 15 projects you're working on, you're short-staffed, you're out of time, you're out of effort, you're out of everything that you need to be focused on, and all of a sudden now you have to interview, and you have to interview like freaking 5 candidates to fill this position. How much do you think I want to be there as an interviewer? Like, not at all, right? I'm only talking to you because I have a need. I have to fill this position with someone who can hit the ground running, right? And they have to be able to meet my needs fast. So if you go into an interview, like 99% of people go into interviews making it about themselves. I have this and I bring this to the table, and here's my resume, and this is what I've done in the past, and yada, yada, yada. You're going to blend in, and I'm not going to remember you. But if you can come to that interview and you can make me believe that you're the person that can solve my problem right now, and I can be done with this nonsense of interviewing, you're the one that I'm going to go back and interview. So you're the one that I'm going to call in for the next interview, and you're the one that I'm going to try to push to the top. Does that make sense to anyone? Does that relevant? So here's what I want to do. I want you to share with me a story. Does anyone have a story you can share about your worst interview you've ever had? Everyone's afraid.
Cynthia, if you don't, if they stay quiet, you can start calling on them.
Yeah, that's assuming I could read their names. But I'll tell you what, I'll start off and I'll share a story with you. I wouldn't say it was the worst interview I ever had. I did get the job. I almost didn't. And it was for an executive position. And I went to the interview, and the interviewers were horrible. They were horrible. And the reason they were horrible is because it was a panel interview, and all they did was talk about their company and why I want to work there. And I knew as a professional interviewer that I wasn't being given the chance to tell them why I'm the person to fit that need, right? Like you only get a window, you get a small window. So I kind of took over the interview, and it really ticked off the CEO. He was like, "I almost didn't hire you because you took over the interview." And I said, "Well," and here's what I said to him: I said, "If you didn't suck, I wouldn't have had to take over the interview." And I did get the job. But it was a bad experience. It was because they were worried about selling the job. So in your situation as a candidate, you need to give them the information they need to have about you, even when they don't ask. Even when they don't ask, and that's important. So let me ask you, how many have been on job interviews? Raise your hand. I know you've been on job interviews, right? What do you remember about those job interviews?
Jared, do you have one today, Jared?
No.
No, Jared, you don't have any job interviews that were bad, good?
I don't have one today. He asked me if I had one today.
Oh, you went on today?
No, I did not. Do not. I'm just dressed for this presentation today.
Oh, okay. Just looking very dapper. Looking very nice.
Okay.
Looking very nice.
Who's been, somebody share with me your interview experiences.
I interviewed at Enterprise for my internship position, and I remember it was a really nice interview because my interviewer was very kind and excited for me to be there.
And Enterprise, I have to tell you, they are well known and well respected for hiring college students and getting them started on their career. It's a really awesome company to work for. One of the things as an executive coach is I get constant feedback for who to work for and who not to work for, and you'd be surprised at who you shouldn't work for.
Who? Please let me know. Please let me know.
Well, I would not recommend anyone going to Highmark.
Really?
Yeah, Highmark's a tough one. It's interesting. Another one is it's escaping my name. The company that did those injections for if you're allergic to bee stings and stuff. It's a pharmaceutical company. They're located in Southwest Pennsylvania. They're located locally, like South Point or somewhere like that. I cannot think the name of it.
Well, I know that so the higher you go up in Amazon, Amazon's bad too.
Yeah, I heard Amazon.
Yeah,
Highmark.
Amazon's bad too.
I know Highmark is. I know that they're tough because I deal with a lot of their executives that are trying to get out of Highmark. UPMC is a little better. God dang it, I can't think of the name of the stupid pharmaceutical company, but they're really bad too. Heather Bresch is the CEO of the company, and I know her from our club, and I can't say Heather, the company sucks. But yeah, so those are some of the bad ones. But your goal is to get noticed, right? Your goal is to get a job. So you need to be able to explain to the company.
Mylan, M-I-M-Y-L-A-N.
That's it. Mylan, yeah.
Never heard of it.
You never heard of Mylan? Oh my gosh, they're huge, and they're a huge pharmaceutical company, and they have the worst employee retention, and they treat their employees badly. PPG, Pittsburgh Paints, yeah, they're another one. They're tough. Like when you get to certain levels, like down lower, the people are really happy. But as you get higher up in the echelon and the executive ranks, they're tough. They grind through their people.
So I've heard Amazon was good, but Amazon is bad for female executives. I've heard that from 2 people.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, well, a
it's
lot
just
of companies
hearsay.
are tough for female executives. The company that I told you I had the bad interview for, like when I got my job as a well, first of all, I didn't even get the job as a vice president. I was hired as a director. Like for that company at that time, hiring a Democrat was their like idea of diversity. Like it was the most non-diverse organization in the world. So I ended up being the first female vice president in the company. And we started breaking that thing, and now there's a lot of them. But so women are dealing with a lot more to start with. So I want to try to explain to you that interview is not about you. And one of the first things I want to ask for a volunteer to take the first mock interview question for me. And come on, somebody.
Who wants to take it? All right. I was about to call Sam anyway.
Sam is going to do it. Okay. Here's my question for you, and it's a terrible question, but you're going to be asked in an interview. And it's one of the first ones they're going to ask you. They're going to say, "Thank you for being here today. I want to ask you, can you please tell me a little about yourself?"
All right, I'll ask you what position am I being interviewed for? Like what
Um,
organization?
Getting very specific. I like it.
So you guys are what? Are you guys marketing or what? Tell me more about what you.
I'm in supply chain right now, project and supply chain.
So what's a position you'd be wanting to get? You tell me.
I'll say the operations manager on a production line.
All right, so you're going to be an operations manager, but let's go with that. So just tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, okay, my name's Sam. I've graduated from Penn State, getting a project and supply chain management degree. Yeah, you're right. It's a bad question because I don't know where to go from there.
Horrible question.
This is good because like the other class was like this too, and so in the last class the same exact thing happened, right? Don't stop, keep going. That's what this is for.
Yeah.
All right, keep going, please.
Okay, all right, I'll keep going. Yeah, I guess I'll say my hobbies. I do enjoy working out. I like baseball and MMA, but I will say my career interests lie in supply chain management and working my way through up there.
Okay. And that's a good answer. And I will tell you that 90%, that's actually better than 90% of the answers, because 99% of the people will reiterate what's on their resume. They will say, "Oh, you'll see I graduated from Penn State in like 19 whatever, 20 whatever, and I graduated, and here's my degrees, and here's my this, and here's my that." And that's what everybody's going to do. But your goal in this is what? It's to stand out. Is it not? They have your freaking resume in front of them. So you're going to assume that they're intelligent and they can read it. So what you want to say is, I know you have my resume. I know you can see what my degree is in and all my qualifications and so on. But you know what's not on my resume? And then you want to remember that they want to solve a problem. So how do you think you know what the problem is they want to solve?
I'm assuming it would kind of be in the what responsibilities are in the job description, like what they need out of a candidate.
Yep, and it's going to be in the top 3, the first 3 things they mention. So remember this too. When I post a job online, right? I post it as though I'm looking for a unicorn. Like I am going to post everything I want. And so many candidates say, "Oh, I'm not applying for that. I don't have it." Nobody has it all. Like we're not expecting everyone to have it all. So get that out of your head right now. The top 3 things I want are.
I just said that to my partner like 2 days ago, Cynthia.
I'm sorry.
I just said that to my partner 2 days ago for our blockchain company. It's like we gotta find the unicorn. Yeah. It's like, but it's like they don't exist.
we're looking for freaking unicorns, but we know we're not going to get a unicorn. So, and you don't know how many people just weed themselves right out. That's like the first thing. Like, "Oh, I'm not applying." And I will tell you, women will do that before men every single time.
There's research that's published about that. It's like in the 80, like in like the 80, like it's like 80 something %. where like 80% of the women will not apply for that job, but like 90-something% of men will apply for it knowing that they are not qualified. It's something like that, but it's actually published.
Yeah, it's high. And so don't weed yourself out. Know that we're not being, we're trying to be realistic, right? We want the top three. The top three things, the first things we list are things that we need now. So when I'm saying, tell me about yourself, you're going to have had that job description, that the job posting way before this interview. So you have time to prepare. So I want you to take something that's not on your resume that you can tie in. And it could be like freaking when you were a lifeguard in high school. But if you can tie it into something that they're looking for now, like an experience an experience I had in high school was this, I won this trophy, and I see that you're looking for someone with this skill, like we can tie that in with practice. And that's what I'm going to encourage you to do is look at those top three things and tie those in with practice. So that's where I want you to go with that stupid question of, tell me about yourself. There's some other things that you should know. The average position gets 250 resumes. All right. So I want you to think about that. I'm a hiring manager, and I'm going to send to this job post. I'm going to put it on ladders, or I'm going to put it on wherever the heck I'm going to put it on, send it with recruiters. Within 5 minutes, I will start getting resumes, and I'm going to get 250 of them. So by the time you get chosen to come in for an interview, you've been narrowed down from about 250 to about 5 to 7 people. However, those 5 to 7 are the top. They're the cream of the crop, right? They're the best out of those 250. So now you have to stand out amongst a higher group of people. Does that make sense? So what's going to make you stand out from the other 5 to 7 people that are in front of them for that interview is when you make that interview about them. 100%. Everything you answer is going to be about them. So in order to do that, I always tell my interview coaching clients, so when I start out, I don't do a lot of interview coaching anymore, but I do it for my executives in their transitions. And what I start off with is I start off just doing some mock interviews with them. And I want to ask, who's my next volunteer for another question? And then I'll tell you where we're going to go from there.
All right, go through that, then I have a question. I have a question first, but go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead with your question.
So before you actually get to the interview, what's going to be, in your opinion, what's the differentiator whenever people are reviewing resumes?
That's going to be quantifiable results if you have them. And I told, and what I'll get to later is I'm going to go to that LinkedIn profile. That's the differentiator. Resumes, first of all, I think it's like something like 90% of resumes are embellished. So we never look at a resume as fact. When you come in and they have you and you're like, I'm applying for a management position or an executive position, why are you asking me to fill out a job application? It's because you're signing your name on that job application and you're telling me that that's fact. That's a legal document. Your freaking resume is a sales piece, and I know that. So that's why. So you can lie about your education. There's actually websites out there that will teach you how to fudge your resume for fake degrees. They'll tell you all about like restaurants that are in the vicinity of the colleges, professors. They'll tell you about their personalities so that you can engage in a conversation with anyone. Like there are actually businesses out there to teach you how to BS interviewers.
So you're telling me there's a website out there that says Dr. J is a jerk. Say
Yeah.
on the interview, if you had Dr. Ghosted, say he was an absolute jerk and you're in. You're telling me there's people like that.
I'm telling you, there are websites out there that'll tell you, like if you say you went to Princeton, it'll tell you, yeah, you used to have coffee at this coffee shop down the street, and these were your favorite professors, and this is what you liked about their classes. They train you to do that. And chances of getting caught are getting a little bit higher, but a lot of companies don't take the time to do the research. They don't take the time. So you're competing against a lot of BS. So your job when you get into that interview, and that's why we're going to focus on the LinkedIn profile. It's super, super important because I've got 250 resumes, first of all, we're going to look for spelling errors. Like if there's a spelling error, it is immediately trashed. If you have when you are applying for, and I know this is going to sound like, why is she saying this? This is common sense. Oh my God, you will not believe how much this is not common sense. We would get resumes in, and it would say email address, sexkitten101 at Hotmail. I'm like, seriously? Like, I'm going to hire you, or like a freaking red flag all over the place. Like, this is the stuff we get as employers. So super professional. Have a separate email address for your job search. And that'll, especially if you're posting on the online websites and so on, you're putting your resume out there, you're going to get bombarded with junk mail, with job openings that you have no interest in. So you want to separate, maybe a new Gmail account just for your job search, but keep it professional. Keep a professional, a name like that. That's one of the differentiators. Big gaps, just explain them. Explain them. You can have gaps. We all have gaps. Explain them, and explain them in your resume, because those are going to keep you from getting in the door. And you need to get in the door. Never send a resume without a cover letter. Here's why. Even if you're uploading it and it's an electronic thing, you have to go through applicant tracking systems. You all familiar with the ATS systems, applicant tracking systems? All right, these things are weed you out like really, really fast. So if you have a cover letter and you can use the key search words, again, you go back to those top 3 things they're looking for, those top 3 in the description, and you pull out as many keywords as you can, because that's what they've programmed their applicant tracking system to look for. So you want to put those in your resume in as many places as you can. And you also want to put it in a cover letter, because when you upload a cover letter and a resume together, the tracking system doesn't know the difference. So you get to throw a bunch of them in your middle paragraph about, oh, I have this and that, and I bring this to the table, and I've experience in that. That applicant tracking system, all they're doing is pulling out those keywords, and you're moving up the ranks. And that's how that works. So that's how you can kind of like hack the system a little bit to make sure that you get the interview over someone else. Someone else just puts in their resume, even if they have the words, you get an extra dose of the words.
So you're saying 100% of the time to always include a cover letter.
I would always,
because those things always say optional. I think a lot of students, just because they say optional, a lot of students don't bother uploading the cover letter.
Well, so why wouldn't you want the extra bonus of getting those applicant tracking systems? It's all electronic. I am not going to, as a hiring manager, look through 250 resumes. I'm just not going to do it. So that applicant tracking system is going to be the first way of weeding it out. And there's actually software, and I can send you guys links to my Trello boards that'll give you that software, where you can take a job description, a job that you're interested in, and your resume, and you copy paste both of them into this software, and it'll tell you you're an 80%, you're at a 50% match, you're at a 30% match. You need to be at 80% or higher to even get considered for the interview.
Yeah, LinkedIn has that now as well. So that's another positive thing on LinkedIn.
Yeah, LinkedIn is like, it's all amazing. But there's a lot of different ways you can do it. So if you're serious about wanting the job, you need to do these things. You need to know that job description. You need to know what their problem is. And think about it. It's all sales. When you sell, what do? You listen. You listen. You listen to the customer's need. So why is it when we go to an interview, we stop listening and we start just talking? Some of the biggest problems that people run into in an interview is I'll ask a question and you answer because you've practiced, and you've got these behavior-based answers in your brain, but you're not answering the question that I'm really asking. You're just trying to fit your answer in to make sure you get the words across. And it's really an art, and it's a science to learn how to manipulate those and work around them. So if I have anybody who wants to try some questions with me, I'm happy to let's try these. And I want you to understand that this is a no judgment zone. This is my area of expertise. And I want to help you. I want to give you some tips that you can take with you. And one of the tips I will tell you right now is when you leave the house, for an interview. If this is like when we get back to real life and you can do these in person, when from the minute you leave the house, pretend you're on that interview. And an example of why that's important is I was in a ladies' room in my company and I was listening to a woman on the phone talking to someone, and she was on the phone. I was in the ladies' room washing my hands and hear this whole phone call. And what she said on this phone call was, "Oh my God, I'm here for my interview. I saw the CEO. He's really hot. I know I can get this. I know I can do it. I've got this guy. I've got him wrapped around my finger already." That was the conversation she's having on the phone. She walks into the interview, and here's me sitting there. It was like she wanted to die.
It's like,
And I'm like, "Nice to meet you.
how
This is
hot am
my
I?
friend, the CEO." And like she knew at that moment the interview was over. So she lost it in the freaking ladies' room. And that's what happens. So you have to pretend you're on this interview. We watch, like if we're walking through to the conference room and you're in the waiting room, we watch. If we invite you to lunch and you drive to lunch and we meet at the restaurant, I will walk past your car. I want to know everything about you. I want to know if you're a slob. I swear to God, I'd never hire my own kids. They're pigs. But I'm just telling you, these are things people will look for. We're going to scope out your social media. And I want to tell you, when we get to that point, how important it is for you to scope out the social media of not just the company, but I want you to delve into the people. I want you to like stealth visit the profiles, the LinkedIn profiles, the Facebook profiles, the Twitter profiles, because these are the people you're going to be working with. And if they don't have the same values as you, if they're constantly posting things that are completely against what you stand for, you're not going to be happy there. So why take the job and end up having to quit? So that's just something I want to throw out there for you. So who wants to be my first try at some interview questions? Be brave.
Go ahead and call them out. I'll leave it up to you.
I can't see their names. All
Janelle,
right,
did you say you wanted to go?
I don't
Janelle?
know who's on here.
Janelle wanted to go, she said.
Who? Janelle?
Janelle.
All
Yeah.
right, no, it's you. So first of all, I want to ask you, what kinds of jobs, Janelle, would you like to be applying for?
I want to work in supply chain, probably like purchasing department.
Okay, so that's cool. I want to add, I got to tell you guys, I think you have probably one of the most cool opportunities right now with supply chain. Something that was like kind of under the radar for me forever. It's like with all these these vaccines and everything happening, I'm just seeing how important supply chain is to the world. So you guys are in a great field, great industry. So what do I need when I'm going to hire somebody in purchasing? What are some of the things that you would think are going to solve my problem? Why would I have this opening?
I think from a candidate, you would need like good problem solving, able to do like multiple tasks at once because it can get really busy, and strategizing.
Okay, those are probably very true. But I want you to go even deeper, right? If I'm hiring right now, I have one position right now. That means I have one problem right now. And that's something I need to solve. So if you're going to look at a job description and something that you've answered an ad for, and you're going to look at those top 3 things, right? So what do you think are going to be one of the top 3 things? Have you applied to any jobs yet in this field?
I actually have a current job right now, so I'll be doing full time after I graduate.
Okay, so all right, that's probably good. Let's talk about you're kind of in a company that would be hiring for this kind of position.
Mm-hmm.
So think about that. What are their current openings?
Like what are they opening for right now?
Yeah, what do they have any openings right now?
They have one for the warehouse, but it's not really linked to like my profession.
Not your profession. All right, but let's just for a second, let's take that warehouse job.
Okay.
what's the problem that is causing in the organization right now because it's not filled?
I would say they need more people because they're lacking employees.
They're not getting their orders out,
Yeah.
right? It's a warehouse thing. They're not getting orders out. So that's kind of where I want you to try to think differently. I don't want you to look at a job description as just this, oh yeah, I have all those skills I'm going to apply. I really want you to look at this job description and try to figure out what is the real problem. If it's a warehouse situation, the problem is I'm not getting my orders out on, they're not getting their orders out on time. So when you're answering questions, you want them to think this is the person who's going to get my orders out on time. All right. So I know you're not going for a warehouse job. So let me just ask you, I'm going to ask you some more generic questions that aren't really focused in supply chain. I'm just going to ask you a question that that I would ask any candidate. I would say, tell me about a time when you had a supervisor who you basically disagreed with on how a job should be done. Can you tell me about a time that that's happened to you?
Yeah, in my recent job when I worked at Sam's Club, I had a manager who was very strict and it was her way or no way. So it was difficult to be creative and like work there because you were always questioning if you were doing it her way or not.
Okay. Is that your whole, is there more? Do you want
I was gonna tell you like how I dealt with it,
to, yeah,
but
please.
like there were times where we would go like above her to try to get like a higher up manager to tell her to become more like easygoing, and it finally got through to her that we were allowed to use our own ideas. So it ended up pretty good.
Okay. So I want you to go a bit deeper on that. Okay. So it's a good example because it's a good story. But I want you to remember that as an employer, how you behaved in the past is telling me it's very indicative of how you're going to behave in the future. And that's really important to know. So I need you to tell me that you did something at that job that's going to apply to the job I have for you. So when you're telling me that you had a supervisor who was like my way or the highway, I might be that supervisor. Like that might be me, and I might know that about myself. So what I want to hear from you is that I had a supervisor. It was her way or no way. It was very hard to work under that kind of pressure. So I had to find a way to make that doable. I had to find a way to be at my best every day. So what I decided to do was, um, I talked to my coworkers and we decided to, work together on things. I occasionally would have to go above her or go to, our boss to try to help us communicate. I realized there was a communication problem. In the end, it did turn out that she did start to communicate better. We were able to have more open dialogue, and the whole team stayed together instead of our retention going down. Like, you want to try to make a result that they can see,
Okay.
because you took things into your own hands. Sometimes, like in certain positions, you have very little control.
Mhm.
If you have a boss who's a jerk, there's nothing you can do at a certain level. But even then, you might say, I realized that this wasn't going to change. I realized that I wasn't going to be able to grow in the organization. So at that time, I realized it was the right time for me to leave. And I did. And I got a different job with a supervisor who I was able to work with really well. And you resolved it that way.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, it's better.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions like right now so far where we are? Have
I
you ever
kinda
had
have
a
one.
difficult interview question?
Well, I was gonna say most, at least job descriptions and like when I see them posted, like almost every single one says like excellent written and verbal communication skills. How do you kind of address that without really addressing it? Because I feel like, if you're talking like, do you kind of try to spin a situation that you've been in? Or because I feel like that's what most companies are looking for, and that's pretty important. But I think people kind of pass over it a little bit. It kind of sounds too generic.
So you're saying if it might say that in their description, but they're not going to come out and ask you a specific question about it. Is that what you're kind of saying?
Yeah, yeah.
How do you address it? Well, one of the things that I tell all of my interview training people is to come up with 5 stories, like 5 different things that are going to, you want a story that's going to demonstrate your communication skills. You want a story that's going to demonstrate your leadership skills. You want a story that's going to demonstrate your technical skills. You want a story that's going to demonstrate how you get along with other people. And you're going to want to have a story that demonstrates why you're different. Like those might be their 5 stories. So the communication skills one, say I ask you a question about, give me an example of a time when you had to work under pressure, you had competing demands, and you had to decide which one was most important. So that kind of question can easily go into excellent communication skills, written and verbal. And you might pull like from one of your stories, and you might say, well, in this particular position, I had competing demands. I had to actually write down a list, a very clear, concise list to delegate to other people. Like you can weave it in that way. That sounds complicated though.
No, I think I follow. It's kind of like create answers looking for questions rather than the other way around.
Always. If you have those 5 stories and you know them well, you can pull any answer you want out of one of those 5 stories. So if I ask you a question, like the one we just asked, and she said she had the supervisor, like I might say, another question I might ask is, tell me a time that you had a customer that was irate and you had to deal with an angry client or customer. She could go maybe right back to that story about the supervisor. And she could say, remember the story I just told you about, my supervisor that was difficult to work for? Well, that showcased itself. It presented a lot with angry customers because customers were angry with her and they'd come back with me. And then she could go into an answer about that. So you want to use the same stories because as an interviewer, I'm interviewing 5 or 6 people. I want to remember how you behaved, what you did, how you solved problems, and how you're going to solve mine, which is really all I care about. Make sense? All right, I am going to ask Gavin. Gonna pick on you. You made eye contact accidentally on Zoom. So.
Yes, ma'am.
So let me ask you, Gavin, what has been your biggest challenge in interviewing so far?
I mean, I'd say the biggest challenge for me right now is I'm still in school. So I mean, I'm still working 2 full-time jobs right now. So I haven't really looked into a new job quite yet.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, there's not really a lot that I've really encountered. I mean, I've got a full service landscape and contracting company, and then I also work at Lowe's full time, and then I'm in school full time. So not much time to be looking around.
All right, but I will tell you what is really gold for you right now. All right, a landscape company full time that you're running.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, this is like gold for interviews. Like you've got stories like crazy. You know what it's like to hire people,
Exactly.
find people, keep people. You know the importance of work ethic. You know the importance of pleasing customers. Like you know so much.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
my key for you is to harness that.
Okay.
Like harness it. Like your most difficult employee, your biggest challenge in finding people. You can relate to me as an employer because I'm struggling finding people.
Sure.
I'm struggling keeping people. I want people who understand what that means. That's gold. That will help you stand out.
Perfect.
So yeah, so that's really golden. Who else? Who else has something that they? How about Isabella?
So like one of the most difficult questions I would think, this just happened recently to me. They asked me what company like I wouldn't want to work for, like ethically, and I kind of didn't know how to answer it because I've never been asked anything like that before. So it was like a new kind
You were
of
asked that
question.
recently?
Yeah, for my internship.
Interesting. What company is that?
I work at Hershey.
Okay, I like that question. I like that one now.
It's actually an important question, especially now. So if you understand that companies are dealing with, after Black Lives Matter and Me Too movement and all these social things that are happening, companies are faced with this. And I'm dealing right now as an executive coach with executives who are dealing with this in their organizations. Do we speak out? Do we make a statement? Who do we offend? Who do we not offend? How do we do this? So companies have to be very aware of their own core values and their own missions. And when I'm hiring, I want to know that the person that I'm hiring is aligned with my core values and my mission as an organization. So if I ask you who you wouldn't want to work for ethically, that I'm looking truly to see if you're aligned with where we are. So when you go on an interview, you're going to want to know their mission and their values of that position. And when you want to know their mission and their values, if they ask you that question, any company that doesn't align with that is going to be, I don't think I would name a company because that's like derogatory. I would just probably say something, any company that doesn't align with my personal core values. And I find, and then I would do something that aligns with their core values, because none of you should be applying for jobs or thinking about working for companies that are not aligned with your core values. I will tell you right now, as an executive coach, I specialize in executives that are 40 and over, that have been in careers for 20 years, 25 years, and they are miserable. And they are miserable. They're making great money. They have great 401ks and 3 houses and cars and everything that they want, and they are miserable. And they're miserable because they checked boxes. They said, I'm going to check my resume. I got this. They get in and they keep moving up, but they never figure out if it's aligned with who they want to be. And that's the crossroads, that intersection they come to in their 40s. So my advice to you is to look at that now, get a clear grasp on who you want to be. Look at your next decade and say, what kind of company do I want to work for? Because that's really important. And there are ethical things that you wouldn't want to do. There is no way, like on the face of the earth, there are certain companies that I could work for. I just couldn't do it. And there are other companies that I would be like, love to work for, just because of what's out there publicly about their ethics and their vision. So don't be afraid of that. If you're applying in a company that is aligned with who you want to be, say you're applying to Dick's Sporting Goods, I'm pulling something out of the air, because you like what they stand for, you like that they're advertising a lot about women in leadership and doing a lot of that. If that's who you're applying for, and they say, who would you not want to work for ethically? I wouldn't name a company, but I would say wouldn't want to work for a company that didn't see women as leaders. And it's aligned. It's aligned with who you are. It's aligned with who they are, but you're not putting anyone down. Is that a long answer to a question? Does that help you at all?
Yeah, I understand.
See where I'm going? So that was the most difficult question. Does anyone else have any comments on that? How would you answer that? What do you think would be a good answer to that? Nobody? All right. Do you want to try a mock interview question?
Sure.
Sure, why not? All right. Tell me about a time you had to do, no, I don't like that one. Tell me about one or two client-related obstacles that you've overcome that you're particularly proud of.
This is a hard one.
Questions are going to be hard.
I would say, I guess, working at a grocery store, I have like a lot of people coming in upset over like things not being like made the right way, or like they're missing something. So I would try to like understand, and like I would ask them for like, can you just give me like 5 minutes and I'll get everything fixed for you. And I talked to my manager about like trying to get them a discount or something and like trying to help them out.
Okay, that's a good answer, but I need you to be more specific. So that was really general, like this always happens, that always happens, or like when this happens, here's what I would do. I would want you to say, there was this one time when this guy came in to the grocery store and he was livid, like make me interested. Like I'm listening to like 20 candidates, man. I want to hear your story. I want to be interested in it. So this guy was livid. He was blaming everything on me, and it was really out of my control. So I had to stop. I had to step back. I had to think about, okay, what do I do here? I wanted him to be happy. So I, maintained that professionalism. I tried to calm him down. I promised him I'd get him some help. I went to my manager. So give me like a little list, but very specific. So in the end, he was so happy. He like went to the coffee shop and bought me a coffee. Like whatever it is, make it up. Like you can embellish those stories, but you got to know them well. Like they have to be based in a kernel of truth. They really have to have happened, but you can really play into embellishing the story, getting the story where you want it to be. Okay, see how more specific is going to give me more information as you're hiring. As the person doing the hiring, that's going to give you more information. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. I am going somebody. All right. I don't want to try to pronounce your name. Bled. I'm going to mess this up. Bled.
Yeah, that's correct.
Oh, I did it. I'm proud of myself. I can see small and I did it. All right. Tell me your most challenging interview situation you've had.
For me, I would say like over fall, I applied for RBI, which is like Restaurant International Brand. And the interview process was kind of weird. It's like something I'd never gone through. It was like it went 3 interviews. First one was traditional over the phone. Second was face-to-face with an interviewer. And then the third was a simulation, which I was like, I never learned about that. I was like really confused. But essentially we got put into teams and it's about like showing collaboration. I think what I struggle with is like, all of us are supposed to collaborate, but a couple people want to stand out. It's like, how do I go with that without looking like a fool or trying to make myself like seem better than everybody else on the team? Which is what I struggle with because I was like, when do I express my opinion? When do I sit back and listen to others?
That's actually very, very good. The airlines are huge on interviewing that way in groups and collaboration and seeing how you do. So tell me a little bit about the experience. How was the experience? What did you find in it?
I would say the experience was it's kind of new, but intriguing. I kind of liked it in terms where I can show my creativity, how I work in groups, and like kind of just like because it was like testing our quantitative knowledge and qualitative where what we would do in certain situation, and then like kind of like looking at it like what's the bigger picture, not just like the right now moment where I was able to like kind of like involve myself in that.
So I want to know then, if you're debating like when do I speak up, when do I not speak up, how do I stand out? I want you to back that up to what we were talking about earlier, right? It's not going to be about you, it's going to be about the employer. So if you want to think about what are the problems this employer needs to solve and what are the qualities that this employer needs to see in me? So as an employer, do you want someone who is going to express themselves all the time and be out there trying to be like a showboater, or do you want the person who's going to like lead the group like quietly and share the credit? Like that's what you want to think about. Like, how do I want to behave? Like, how do they want to see me at this particular point? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's kind of something that's important in those kind of interviews. Another thing that I want to share with you all is panel interviews. Have you ever been on panel interviews? A good panel interview, they have codes that they're going to be asking you about. Some of the mistakes people make in panel interviews is they only look at one person. So if I ask the question and you're answering it directly to me, you lose points when you just answer to me and you're not like looking at every single person on the panel. That's one thing. They're going to debrief right after the interview. Like immediately when you walk out of that room, this panel is going to have formed an opinion. So you need to impress 5 people and you need to make them like you immediately. You're going to do that using body language. You're going to do that by mimicking very subtly. This is in panel interviews. This is really important. It's a little harder on Zoom It's actually, I lied. It's a lot harder on Zoom, but when we get to the in-person thing and you want to make someone feel comfortable with you. So the way you're sitting right now, you're kind of leaned back. If you were on the panel and I were in the interview, I would kind of very subtly do the same thing. If I see someone with their head tilted just slightly, I would try to do that very, very slightly, very subtly. People like people that are like them. And there's an automatic connection built in that. So there's that piece. Let's talk about questions you have for me as the interviewer. That question gets asked all the time. So what questions do you have for me? Who wants to tell me some of the answers they give on that question?
Another thing I want to do before we do that, another thing I want to do on the panel interview is I used to purposely bring in Caucasian men older than me and women to see who they responded to in person-to-person interviews. Because in most cases, they're going to respond to the older Caucasian male because they think they're in charge. So that perception is how I actually get their behaviors on how they would actually function, in a work environment. That's just me, and I've actually worked with organizations on that to say just try that and see what happens, and that's just my approach. So.
That's good. Yeah, we used to do all kinds of little things like that to see how people respond. But that's very good. I like that. So
What was your next question?
I want to know how you answer the question of what's in it for me. I mean, what questions do you have for me as an interviewer? Because they're going to ask you that at the end of the question. First of all, when we would do panel interviews, that was always the question, like, if we're going through a panel interview and everybody's asking questions, there could be one thing that you would say in my mind that said, all right, this person's not getting hired. And we would always have like a code question, and that was usually it. I'm not saying that every company, when they ask you this question, you're out of the job. But in our situation, when we came to that question, it was our way of letting the rest of the panel know that we're over this interview. It's done. Stop asking questions because we've hit some red flag.
So you're going to ask one question and then you're going to say, okay, what questions do you have? Tell me about yourself. Okay, what questions do you have for me?
Yeah, if they ask a really bad, if they did something that ticked off somebody on this panel, that was the question. That was our code question. We'd all stop wasting our time. Because we knew that when that person walked out, that person on that panel was not letting this person get hired. So we would have that a lot. But it is a question that is asked in one-on-one interviews, panel interviews, group interviews all the time. That's one of the ways they wrap up an interview. So how do you answer?
Like, I hate that question because I'm usually like, what should I say? But like lately, I've just been asking about like companies' retention rate and like if they've been working there for more than 40 years, I asked them like, what have you like seen like the company trending towards over your 40 years in this company? Like, what do you see the future and what do you see the problem now that needs solving?
Okay, good answers. Anybody else have something they want to add to that? What other kind of answers do you give?
I would say like career mobility. Like, is there opportunities for me to move up?
Anything else? Give me some more.
I feel like I would kind of ask about their most successful employee that they've had so far and kind of see like what they're looking for when they answer.
Okay, good. That's kind of the direction I would encourage you to go, is to remember that people like to talk about themselves, like, right? And the interview's not about you, it's about them. So you want to say things like, can you tell me the top 3 qualities that you would want in a candidate for this role? What are the top 3 things that you think would make someone successful in this role? One of you hit on it a little bit with, you've been here for 40 years. Tell me what you've liked most about working here for 40 years. Let them talk. Just turn it around and ask them, but ask them questions about what they see as success for this company, what they see success for this role, and what that means to them. Because again, it's not about you, it's about them. The more they talk, the more they're going to like you. It's just the way it is. They like to talk about themselves. Make sense? All right. And before we kind of wrap up the interview piece, I want to get into some social media stuff. I want to talk about that. But at first I want to talk about, what do you need to know before you head into the interview? What are some of the things you want to look at and consider? I gave you some of it as a hint already.
The job description would be
Yeah,
one of them.
job description.
I always look at a company's background and history just to get more familiar with them.
Mm-hmm. Good.
The company's cores and values.
Yeah. What else?
I was always told to go to like a company's website and look at their like leadership team and see if it's like diverse or how it's organized.
Right. And those are all good things. I think you should do all of them, but I want you to go deeper.
So like the big thing for me, like if there's like an HR like person that I'm actually working with, and the big thing I do is I actually look into that HR person's profile on LinkedIn and Facebook. That way I can have like a one-on-one conversation with them.
Yeah, you want to do that carefully. You want to do that. Absolutely. And that's what I encourage you to do. But you don't want them to ever know you did it. So you want to do it very stealthily, and you want to look for various things. You want to see what they're posting, and their LinkedIn profile, hopefully they're going to be a little more professional and a little more careful about what they post. But go to their Facebook and their Twitter, because that's where they're going to really show you who they are. Now, I always suggest, like, if you're, say you've been to 2-3 interviews with this company and you really think they're going to be offering you a job, and you have another offer and you're debating what to do, this is really important. You need to know the kind of people that are in this organization. So you, not just the leadership team, you want to do a LinkedIn search for people who work there. You want to kind of look at how long they're there. You want to look at what's the average tenure? What are the kinds of people they hire? Are they hiring people from a certain school? Are they hiring people with a certain kind of background? Are they staying 2 years? Are they staying 4 years? You can learn a lot by looking at this track record of the people that work in the organization. So why does this matter? Because if you don't do this research and you've got 2 offers and all you focus on is who's offering you the most amount of money, or who has the best 401k, and you get in there and you find out that culturally and values wise and everything else, none of these people are like your tribe. You just don't jive with these people at all. You're not going to be happy. And 2 years from now, you're going to be doing the same thing. So one of the key things that I learned, the reason I got the career coaching piece of my business, the reason it exists, is because working with these executives, they'd be miserable. And I say, all right, let's find you another job. And we look at their qualifications. We look at their resume. We take some tests, some assessments. And we'd say, all right, these are some jobs you can apply for. And they'd apply for those jobs and they'd get them. And 2 months later, they were just as miserable as they were in the job they just had. And it wasn't because it was because they didn't align with what they were doing anymore. So you need to know that the company is aligned with you and the values are aligned with you. So that's your end of what you look for on social media. So my question for you is, what do you think a company's going to find when they start looking for stuff about you? What am I going to find if I research any of you on social media?
I don't know. I would say for me, probably like goofy, really into like sports, and like very opinionated in terms of like my beliefs, where like I'm very respectful towards other people's beliefs. I'm just like, I will say what I want to say and hear you out. And like, that's how I portray myself online, as I hear what you're saying, but like, this is my view, and hopefully you respect it.
Okay, good. I will tell you, we were hiring for a CFO position. It was a junior level CFO. It wasn't like we had a CFO and it was like the next person who we were going to groom to be that CFO. And we did some social media research, and we found his LinkedIn profile. Our LinkedIn profile is very good, very professional, very well done. We liked him. Then we went to Facebook, right? And we did a search, and it's public. We're not like doing anything wrong. This is his public profile. And his profile picture on Facebook was a woman's breast. Like, it was this close up picture of a woman's breast. Like, this is what we saw. And he was like our top candidate until that moment. At that particular moment, he lost all credibility with us, like 100% of all credibility. So it's okay to share your opinions. It's okay to do that. Just know that, and that's why working for companies that are aligned with you makes a difference, right? If you're very aligned with a certain political stance and you're going to try to apply to work with Fox News, like it's not going to work anyway. So they're going to look at your political stuff and they're going to look at your Facebook and they're going to see that you're not aligned. So don't be applying there. Just be careful in how you do it. Every single time you make a political post or an opinion post, understand that 50% of the people aren't going to like it. And some of those people could be your next hiring manager. Okay. So that's one thing I want you to know about social media. The other thing I want you to know about, who do you think looks at your LinkedIn profile? Anybody?
My current employer.
Possibly your current employer. Who else? Yeah, like nobody. Nobody looks at my LinkedIn profile, right? Let me tell you where your LinkedIn profile comes in. When you apply to a job, and I've got my 250 resumes, my applicant tracking system gave me 10, and I've narrowed it down to 5, and these are the 5 I'm going to debate on who I want to interview. I'm going right to the LinkedIn profile. Why do you think I'm going to do that? What do you think I can, what do you think I'm going to gain if I do that?
If you keep it updated, it like tells all of your experience and like where have you worked in the past.
It does do that. Tell me anything else about you?
Also, like if you watch the videos, you get like that certificate at the end, so you can kind of like post that on your LinkedIn and see like what they have.
Mm-hmm. What I really want to know when I look at your LinkedIn profile is how social you are, how you interact with other colleagues and other professionals. Because if I'm hiring for a supply chain person, I need you to be well connected, don't I? I need you to know people. I need you to be really comfortable interacting. That's what I'm going to look for. What's your activity been? How many posts do you comment on? I'm going to look for all of that. How big is your connection? How big is your connection base? Every one of you should try to hit that like superstar. And you know how they give you little ratings of where it is, where your profile is? You need to be active. I cannot express to you enough how important your LinkedIn profile is for your career. A lot of you, when you're not looking for a job, don't think about LinkedIn, right? Everybody thinks of LinkedIn whenever they start to look for a job. I can promise you it's important. I've been in business 12 years. 95% of all of my business has come from LinkedIn.
Yep. My last 2 jobs in the industry came from LinkedIn when I wasn't even looking.
Yep. Everything comes from LinkedIn. LinkedIn is where you need to be. You need to be active on it every single day. 10 minutes a day. If you just like, post, and share. Comment on people who are industry leaders that you want to follow. What are companies that you want to work for? Start building that network now. Like, even if you're like thinking it'll be a couple of years before I'm interested in working for that company, make as many connections as you can with people who work for that company. Start posting on their stuff, liking their stuff, commenting on their stuff. Because when you're ready to apply for a job at that company, you've built a friendship. You've built a network, and it'll help you. What questions do you guys have on LinkedIn or anything else? You guys are late in the day here.
I got a quick question.
I was looking to see what my star was. Sorry. I was like, I hadn't checked that in a while.
One of the things I shared with the earlier group that I'll share with you guys too here real quick. There are some ways to get noticed on LinkedIn, right? I want you to remember that LinkedIn there's 2 times people are going to look at your LinkedIn profile. you send me your resume and I want to know if I want to bring you in for an interview. I'm going to go to your LinkedIn profile. I want to see everything that's on there and I want to see more. I want to see examples of your work. I want to see videos. I want to see you in action. If you have pictures, anything that you can do, articles that you've written, I want to see that. But the other way that people are going to look at your LinkedIn profile is if I'm a recruiter or I'm a hiring manager and I don't really want to post my job yet. I don't want to pay a fee. I just want to see who's out there. I'm going to go to LinkedIn. And LinkedIn works exactly like Google in that it's a Google search engine. So you want the key search words to be visible in your profile. If you want to be hired for supply chain, you need supply chain really high up. And that's a real quick hack I'll share with you. And I'll show you how to do
You
that.
should be able to. You should be able to present. There you go.
Yeah. So you can see this. I'm going to go to my profile and I'm going to show you a couple quick hacks that I do. Discard message. Yeah, discard that. I don't know who I was sending a message to. So when you go to my profile and you'll see it says Cynthia Corsetti, Executive Coach, Career Transitions. Now watch. The reason I do that is these are highly searched words, Executive Coach, Career Transition Coach. These are highly, highly searched. So I put my first and last name both here and I put key search words right here. And that's going to show up. So if you get down to even my activity, let's see if I commented on something. I commented on this post. See what I get when it says Cynthia Corsetti, Executive Coach, Career Transitions, everything shows up when I comment. This person, just their name shows up. This person, just their name shows up. I get the whole little commercial for what I do. So if you're a supply chain and I'm reading through here and I'm reading a post that has something to do with supply chain and I want to see what, who you are, I'm going to click on you and I'm going to learn more about you. So you want to make as many searchable words as you can. If you look, you'll have a dashboard in your LinkedIn profile. If you go down here, this number, search appearances, you should never have under 100. Never, ever, ever, any day of the week.
So that's huge. I check it every single. That's why I check every day.
Yeah, check every day. And you look down here and you want to see what they're searching for. They're searching management consultant. I don't even know where that would come from because it's not anywhere in my profile. But career coach, management consultant. Usually these are executive coach or keywords they're searching for. But it'll tell you salespeople, executive directors, business strategists. It'll tell you who's searching for you. It'll tell you companies they've worked for. It'll give you that information. It's really valuable information. And also who's viewed your profile. You always want to check who's viewed your profile. It gives you just a lot of information because I want everybody viewing my profile to be VPs, executive VPs, and that's exactly what's happening. VP, team leads, because those are my clients, potential clients. You want your employers looking at, or recruiters, headhunters, people that are going to help you get jobs. That's who you want to be seeing your profile. So you do that by being active and moving up in the algorithms. And you move up in the algorithms by using, this is prime real estate. This is prime real estate. As many search words as you can get into here, you want to get, and that's how you'll be found. Your about section should be as full as you can get it. You want to like copy paste your resume into here. Everything that's on here. Every company, go as far as make sure you have the logos, make sure you use every single possible character that you can. And these are all videos. These are videos of clients that are executive coaching clients. You might have papers that you've written or examples, anything that you have that you can highlight. If they give you opportunity to use it, because this is where your next job is very likely going to come from.
And I would say the most important piece that I just now thought of this like just 2 seconds ago. Women on LinkedIn.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, my TEDx thing is because I said, who do I know on LinkedIn? And I found him and I said, here's my idea. And that's how that worked. Like people paying thousands and thousands of dollars to coaches to help them do what I did by meeting him on LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I had dozens of people reaching out to me on LinkedIn. I had dozens of people sending emails. Oh, how can I become a speaker? And then Cynthia sent her. I was like, wow. I was like, yeah, okay. year in. You know, so it's that simple.
And LinkedIn is the place. I'm telling you. You know, I 6-figure contracts happen because of LinkedIn. So if there's nothing else you take away from here today, there's 2 things you need to take away. The interview is not about you. It is never about you. It's about that employer. If you can keep that in mind, listen to their need, listen to what their problem is that they need to solve. And LinkedIn is your freaking future. Like, LinkedIn is so important to your career. Be on it every single day. Take nothing else away from here. Take those things.
Yeah, I just signed a contract with Procter & Gamble just 2 days ago. Somebody reached out to me on LinkedIn and talk about blockchain and supply chain. It's just that because I talk about blockchain so much, because I talk about supply chain so much. I just got voted Pro 2021 Pro to Know, you know, by supply and demand chain executive. So it's like once you publish that and people are publishing it for you, you know, and just like Cynthia said, whenever you start posting, people sharing other people's information, when they see something that mentions you, they're going to share it before you even see it. That happens to me so many times. Like I'll have a podcast episode that gets published, and like 10 people will like something. It's like 10 people like this that mentioned you. I'm like, what is that? For example, perfect example. I did a podcast on Monday on blockchain and NFTs, and I woke up and it said 25 people like this post that mentioned you. So we did a podcast Monday. He posted it within like the next 5 hours, because normally it'll take a month for a podcast episode to run. He did it the next day, so I thought nothing of it. So people were liking things that were posted about me before I even know it was posted, right? So you're gonna get that once you start building out your network. It's like organic. It almost like it works for you. It's like it makes you money.
In that saying, I always try to support people in my network. So if I see a podcast or something, I will like it, and it always shows up then in my feed. I have over 6,000 followers in my feed. So as soon as I like something that mentions him, it goes to my 6,000 people see it. So it just grows. So you want to support the people. That's why if there's companies you want to work for, support those people. If there's people that you want to get to know, support those people. Like their stuff, comment on their stuff. It's amazing how it grows. Those are the 2 most important things that you can walk away from here today. And I'm going to share a link with you for any of you that are interested. If you want that course, it's free. It's all video. It'll give you practice interview questions, lots of tips, mistakes to avoid, what to do before the interview, just lots of stuff that was a course that I sold that I'm offering to you for being here and for engaging and for being great to work with tonight. Does anybody have any questions for me before we wrap up?
Yeah, now I'll send over that link because I have it from the last class.
Yeah, you do have the link. No questions?
Any questions, anybody? You know what? Get it out. Just get it out of them, Cynthia. Tell us if you call it. All right. So she's gonna call each person. Somebody ask a specific question. There you go. That's how we're gonna do this. All right.
I don't have to ask if I mean, but
any question, any feedback, you know. Because these people, these students aren't quiet. They're being shy tonight. They're normally very talkative.
we haven't heard from Kenneth. Oh yeah, we have. No, we haven't. That's
I have a question. I can jump in. So as everything kind of transitions to online interviewing, what are like the key differences? Are there really any that are notable as far as interviewing or answering questions differently that you've noticed, or is it more or less just the same?
Do you mean the online like Zoom interviews, or the actual online where you're talking to a computer and you're not even talking to a person? Because there's a lot of that happening now too.
I meant through Zoom. I did see a little bit about that. I don't even know what to make about being interviewed by a computer.
Yeah, I don't like those at all. There's like nothing about them. Zoom, the biggest things I can tell you is be careful of your backgrounds, what's happening. I was interviewing executive assistants online for my business. And I was talking to one that I really, really liked, but like behind, she was like in her family room, like in her basement, which was fine. But her husband kept walking behind her, but like he's in his underwear. Like, I don't want to see that. Like, be aware of your surroundings. Like, he's going to get himself some coffee, walking through his house, not thinking about it. But that's not cool. So watch your background, watch your surroundings. Try to make eye contact. It's hard with a camera because if I'm looking at you, my camera's up there and it's really hard to make eye contact. So try to make sure your camera's at eye level so that you can do that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like body language is definitely harder to gauge over
It is. It's
online.
much harder to gauge, but there are some things that you will still watch for on those to make sure that look for baselines of when you're telling the truth. Baselines for, I don't know if I talked about that in this group or it's the earlier group, but there are things that we watch for that'll tell. Like, so I ask you a question like, why did you leave your last job? And you tell me because it was too far to drive. That's a classic answer that people will say when they left a job. Well, it was just too far. Well, like you worked there for 8 years, it was suddenly too far. And so that's like a sign to me that you're probably lying, and I'm going to want to keep digging and finding out more. Another way that I would look for lies in an interview is when you're answering in an affirmative but shaking your head in a negative. Like, you don't do that intentionally, but if like I say, were you ever let go from a job, and you'll go absolutely not, and you're shaking your head like this, that's never happened to me before, that's telling me you're lying. So there are things that we still will watch for on Zoom, but it's harder.
All right. Anything else? Because I actually have a presentation day, so I throw them a little curveball. So, any other questions? Any other comments?
All right.
All right. All right, Cynthia, thank you once again. Thank you once again. I truly appreciate it. I try to stress the importance of LinkedIn to everyone. Try to express the importance of things like Clubhouse to learn certain things on what the industry is looking for. But I just wanted to get it from someone else. So I want to get it from the best in the business. So thank you once again. And yeah, we'll be in touch. We'll talk about the supply chain class. I know you can't do it next week, but I'll reach out to you so we can get you in that class as well.
All right. Take care, guys. Thanks for your
All
time.
right.
See ya.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So yeah, I think I'll a curveball, but she's very busy, and tonight was her only availability. So my apologies for that. So do y'all want to jump in a group and kind of get things together for the next 10 minutes and then start your presentation at 7:30? Are y'all ready to go? Or do y'all want to take a little break?
I kind of want to take a little break.
Okay. Do y'all need to break out in your room and get ready before your presentation?
Yeah, if you don't mind, I think we could probably do that just real quick, and then what, 7:30 you said?
Yeah, 7:30. Is that enough time? You want to go to 7:40?
I think 7:30 will be fine. I don't know what you guys think.
Okay. What do you think, Catherine?
7:30 is good.
All right.
Or maybe, wait, can we do 7:40 actually?
Oh, Catherine.
7:35.
7:35.
7:35.
All right.
Okay.
All right, give me a second. Who all was in your room again? In your group again? I know it, but you just tell me. Give me a second. All right, Hassan, Manuel, give me a second.
Jared, Catherine, and Gavin.
Wait, I said wait a minute. Give me a second, because I forgot how to create this breakout room. You did it on purpose. I know you. All right. Room 1. Hassan, here we go. Who'd you say?
I said Sam, Jared, Catherine, and Gavin.
All right. Add room. All right.
Thank you.
Y'all should be good. Y'all should be in your. Well, wait. Yeah. Join. Wait. Are y'all in that room? Yeah, they're in that room. All right. So word. All right, buddy. Just his. All right, so his videos on. All right, so y'all want to come back at 7:45?
I actually had a question real quick. Are
Yeah.
we having class on the 24th?
24th. The second group has a presentation on 24th. So your group has a presentation on 24th. Why?
Because there's like a wellness day, I guess, at like Schuylkill. And so I don't have any other classes. So I didn't know if this class was still going.
I also have that at Scranton, but it doesn't bother me if we have
Because
to
the
bring
thing,
that
yeah,
back.
because our wellness day was this week. I don't know how that. Yeah, that's kind of weird. That's kind of weird because different campuses have different wellness days. Because I can't make it come to class on a wellness day. You know.
Mhm.
So you say, of course you can't make me come. So
Wait, actually, I don't think mine is next Wednesday. I think it's the one after that. So
well, Isabella, wellness days end at 5.
What? Oh, that's fine. I'm still fine to come. I just wanted to know because if we weren't having class, then I wasn't gonna try and log in. I just needed to know.
No, if you're fine, so you're the only one. You're the only one that has a wellness day.
I guess so, yeah.
As far as you know, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay with coming with presenting?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll just keep going then.
Okay.
Like I said, all the campuses are different.
That's weird because ours was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, ours was this week.
That's weird.
Yeah, that makes no. That's Penn State for you. Nothing standard. So, any other questions? All right. So yeah, 7. What was that?
Sorry, we're just listening to our presentation, and then are we gonna have any time to like meet after class to like
Yeah.
talk about the presentation or?
Yeah, you can do. Yeah. So I'll leave this class. Like 5 minutes. I'll leave this class open. And then I'll let you all go into a group, and then y'all can talk about it. That's all right.
Okay. Yeah,
All right. So yeah, give me yeah 7:35. We'll hop back on. All right.
Okay.
All right. All right, y'all waiting on me. So what y'all think about, what do y'all think about the discussion?
I liked it a lot. It was helpful.
Good, good, good. Anyone else?
I enjoyed it. I feel like that's something that you can't really like teach that in a class. It's kind of something I think that gets glossed over a lot, is like the logistics of an interview.
Yeah, yeah, and it's like yes, but and another thing I say is yes, there's career services at it's, and this is like for any institution I've taught at. Every single university has career services, but you all don't use them, right? And I'm guilty of it too, to be honest. I didn't go to a career services to say, oh, how do I prepare for an interview? You had to like I would say the light bulb moment for me for undergrad was exactly what happened today. When somebody came in like a recruiter from, it was actually from Enterprise, as a matter of fact. It was from Enterprise. Somebody who went to North Carolina A&T, worked for Enterprise, loved it, and pretty much talked about their story, and talked about the interviewing process. So that's kind of what triggered me to like kind of look more into it. So it's like you get all those emails from Penn State, about career services, resume assistance, and things like that. But you get dozens of, I got 150 emails sitting in my inbox right now from Penn State from today. Right? Will I get to them? Probably not. Let's be real. So I mean that in my opinion, that's the only way that you all are going to be able to get to it, because it's very important. And like I said, LinkedIn's made me a lot of money. I'll just tell you the truth. It's made me a boatload of money. Like I said, I was just nominated for supply and management executive pros and no just today, and that's thousands of people seeing that. So whenever I have anything supply chain, I'm one of those people they're going to look up, right? And I say, send over the contract. Let's get moving. I don't turn money down now. I'm just being real. All right, here we go. I'll shut up now. It's not about me, right? It's about you. All right, so who wants to get started? Anybody want to present? Because I got to make somebody presenter.
I think it will I'm going to present, but never mind.
Yeah, see if you can take it. You can't or no?
No, the button's there, but it says host disabled.
All right, make co-host. Look at all this power you're getting right now. See if you can do it.
Yeah, here we go.
All right.
And then, let's see here.
All right. Let me get my notes ready so I can get ready to ding these points. You know what I'm saying? It's my notebook's upstairs, so I'm being real crazy right now. I'll be all right with this. All right, here we go.
You ready to start?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so if you remember from last week, we said we were going to do food and furniture. So I figured I'd address the switch up real quick, just because, I guess it kind of ties into project management and even portfolio management, I guess, is that the scope of what we were trying to do got too large and it got kind of out of hand. And what we were trying to realize, we didn't really have, if we were going to, maybe if we had like a year, we could do that, right? But 1 week is just too much of a short time frame for what we wanted to accomplish. So we switched over to a company that we're going to call Industrial Insights. So we're doing primarily B2B marketing and consulting for manufacturing and construction companies.
All right, so the company name, like Samuel said, was in Industrial Insights. So currently we're known for an excellent business ROI and the quality of leads that we generate for our consumers. So right now we're working with everything from, we're good. All right. All right, so currently we're working with a variety of manufacturing corporations right now as our portfolio. Right now we're in charge of customer acquisition. So we're finding the customers for our current or our other employers that we have right now, so that way we can help them out. And then helping out with delivery of swift and highly effective data for our customers. And then we're also assisting the companies in creating value and services and after sales.
So before we started acquiring our companies, we also had to create a mission and values for our own company. That way we can better fit companies to these missions and values that we live by. So our company's mission statement is, we strive to connect our clients with the right opportunities. Our family of companies is here to market your business, provide the right image, and drive continuous improvement. Some of our core values include customer always comes first. Especially with business to business marketing, it's extremely important to put the customer's needs before your own, because we are marketing a huge service to them. We also want trust within the customers that we work with. Also, we have powerful communications builds powerful business. I think that is with any kind of business that you're in. If there's a lack of communication, it's just not going to be a good business. So we strive to have the best communication within our team and also within our customers. Performance. Obviously, we want to raise our own company's performance, because that will grow within the companies that we acquire, their performance. And inclusion. We strive to make every company our own company, and every company we inquire to be an inclusive workplace.
So currently the industries that we are serving are various size manufacturing corporations. So the big thing that we did decide to branch out into recently was a nonprofit organization, so that way we can help to give back to our communities. We've been doing the retail settings, and then we've also been helping out with e-commerce. The big thing is we've been looking into like the website trafficking, which is like the main reason that we chose the Gorilla 76 coming up as one of our possible businesses to take over. But that's good for that slide. All right, so what we offer, we've got consistent growth for all of our clients. We offer return on interest on day one, the most efficient way to reach your goals, increase profits through visibility, high performance website designers, brand strategy insight, and digital advertising.
So the first company we want to acquire is Gorilla 76. Gorilla 76 is a business-to-business industrial marketing service that focuses on working with mid-size manufacturers. They offer services and coaching for manufacturers on how to develop internal marketing function. An internal marketing function is in which the promotion of a company's vision, goals, culture within a website. Our company wants to acquire Gorilla 76 because first, they have proven to be effective at increasing their customers' profits. Their website, which I was looking through for research, their website includes numerous case studies about company success stories. For example, they worked with a science startup called Green Dot Bioplastics to generate 92 qualified leads within 10 months of using their service. And they do this by using an ROI reporting feedback loop system. So it all loops from sales to marketing back to Gorilla 76. And they also offer advancements in our own online marketing services. Gorilla 76 specializes in online marketing, which focuses on website building, Google Analytics, content strategy, and technology stacks. Gorilla 76 also offers us a pre-existing client base of mid-sized manufacturers. Since they have been around since 2006, they have generated a lot of customers that we would then acquire if we acquired the company. And they also have a very strong organizational culture. They have this page on their website called the Gorilla Manifesto. And some of the quotes that I really liked about it that they had on there was, "To be the best, we hire the best." And I also really like that they have healthy means profitable. And so they really strive for all their employees to be very healthy, which is very important in the time of the pandemic. So they really overall just align with our mission and goals, with the core values I put at the top: kindness. You know, our goal is customer service, so that kind of plays with that.
All right, so the main company that we're also looking at to acquire is Construction Marketing. Their core values are commitment, energy, and communication and trust. They are currently a business-to-business marketing agency, and their target customers are contractors, architects, manufacturers, and suppliers. Their primary focus currently is branding development, digital marketing, and content creation. The neat thing I did find out about them, though, is that they're also doing drone services and photography, as well as like real estate photography. And they're also really big on marketing strategy and search engine optimization. For why to acquire them, their president is currently he's a past global thought leader. They are excellent at overcoming obstacles. They are exceptional digital marketing results. And as far as making them a good fit for our company, we believe that it's going to allow us to expand into the construction market, and it's going to allow us to assist smaller businesses and large corporations and expand our platform.
All right, so the next company we'd like to acquire would be Enterprise Consulting. Their core values are integrity, professionalism, and trust. And Enterprise Consulting is an ERP-focused consulting agency. They work with mid-sized businesses, and they seek ERP solutions from the implementation to optimization of these programs. As you can see, the primary focus is implementation, upgrade, application integration, business process improvements. They've been in the business for about 20 years now. They specialize in all types of ERP applications, so they're not just one specific program, such as like SAP, and they only do that. They're very well versed in various different programs. They have a clear display of ability through their previous work on their website. They have their stories and different case studies they've done in the past and how they brought these businesses into a more modern ERP system. According to Manufacturing Business Technology, which is an article I found online, analysts estimate about 75% of ERP projects fail. So this is a huge market for us, and I believe that it plays very well into the manufacturing and construction applications. And then why acquire them? They've worked with similar clients as us. As I said before, they have over 20 years of experience, and they allow us to have a customized and adjustable client approach to each of our different consumers, and we can taper it to what they need for their business, whether that be a full overload or just a little slight tweaking. And they would allow us to provide ERP solutions and implementation to existing customers that we have through the manufacturing and construction avenues. And as I said, this market has a lot of failure in it and definitely needs some help. So I feel like we will be able to do that with Enterprise Consulting.
So now I'm going to move into project management methods that we're considering using in our organization. Starting off with waterfall project management. This is really the kind of basic and how you would go about teaching basically the fundamentals of project management. So in waterfall, each project is going to be completed in stages, and each of those stages is kind of self-contained. And then the entire project is delivered all at once after the completion of all the major deliverables. There's a lot of governance involved in project management, a lot of documentation, and the triple constraint is defined pretty much in the beginning when you're talking about scope and the initiation phase. And that is, if you're going to, in a perfect world, that's going to stay consistent throughout the project. Some of the advantages is that it's simple, it's rigid, and it's linear. Once you break down all your stages, you've got a pretty consistent playbook of how you're going to do things and what you're going to get done. It's useful in environments when one deliverable has to be completed before you can start work on another. So manufacturing, construction, you can't really build a building without doing the foundation first. And then the project success is primarily the responsibility of the project manager. He's responsible for making sure all the moving parts work together and making sure that everything is completed on time and under budget and quality. So this is the traditional project management life cycle under waterfall. So as we discussed in class a lot, I plan every meeting carefully. So there's initiation, which is where you're going to define the scope, define all your stakeholders, and then you're going to initiate the project charter, which allows you, it's kind of like a documentation kicking off the project and allows you to add resources to complete it. The planning process is where you're going to create your work breakdown structure, assign tasks to different teams, and create a roadmap of when you're going to complete deliverables and how you're going to go about uh, executing the project. Then execution is obviously just kind of when or how you're going to complete the project. Teams are going to work and complete major deliverables. After that, you're going to monitor and control. So essentially, monitoring and controlling is going to evaluate how you're performing under your triple constraint. Are you producing a quality project? Are your deliverables under budget? Are they on time? That's essentially what that step is. And then closure is when you're going to meet with the stakeholders again and implement your project. After that, that implementation, assuming that it went well and it didn't fail, you're going to decide what you did right, what you did wrong, and then use that information to plan further projects. And agile project management is a lot more interesting in my opinion. I like it a little bit better just because of how flexible it is. The project management process is really built around adaptability. It's kind of you're planning to have your stakeholders come at you week 2 with something different. You're planning for that engagement to come. You're almost planning for scope creep. The project is broken down into separate completed in sprints. Each sprint when you complete it, you implement the major deliverable you're working on. It's not a perfect comparison, but you can essentially look at each sprint as its own mini project. It's going to have its own contained planning phase and its own contained, basically the I plan every meeting carefully is going to take place over a sprint. The customer stakeholders is the major advantage that they see is that they're going to get consistent ROI. They don't have to wait, 6 months for their project to decide if it's going to be profitable or not. You're going to get something in 2 weeks that you can use and you can start improving your business immediately. In agile project management, it's not necessary that you have a project manager. I'll get into that a little bit in the next few slides. 2 very common methods is Scrum and Kanban, and that's what I'm going to be talking about to explain a little bit further. Another advantage is that there's a lot of reduced risk in agile project management. Since you're not waiting 6 months to see if a project's going to fail, you can use the deliverable success and the sprint success to plan for the future sprints. So you don't have to risk everything all in one shot. And then agile project management was developed and its major strength is software development. That's kind of where agile came from. So I'm going to explain Kanban first. This is my creation of an example Kanban board, just to kind of explain it a little bit better. I think this might be the best way to go about it. So essentially, what your product backlog is all your requirements for your project. And you're going to basically list all your deliverables that are going to be a fully realized project. And then you're going to pull them into your building stage. And then after you've built them, you're going to move them into your testing stage. And then after your testing stage, eventually into your done stage, which is the implementation. And you only pull from the product backlog after you're confident that that product is after the deliverable has been tested. So this is kind of like a sample of month 1 versus month 2. So in month 1, you're building deliverable 2, you're testing deliverable 1, and a month from then, deliverable 1's already been implemented, and then deliverable 2 is being tested. So now you've freed up time in your building stage so you can pull more deliverables and work on those. So rather than working in sprints, Kanban, you're kind of just working, as you can. If that makes, yeah, I think that makes sense. And then Scrum is kind of the one, this is where you're going to be working in sprints. So just like the product backlog is all the requirements for your overall project, the sprint backlog is all the requirements that you've set for that sprint. So your team's going to meet at the beginning of the project and then at the end of each sprint to decide what they're going to be doing for the next sprint. So you pull deliverables from the product backlog into the sprint backlog. And then at the beginning of the sprint, which is typically 2 to 4 weeks is what I could find, what most companies define as a sprint, you're going to be pulling deliverables into what's called a Scrum board, which is essentially just a mini Kanban board, or however your organization wants to go about doing it. You're going to pull your deliverable in, build, test, and done. But during the done phase, the deliverables aren't implemented once they're completed. They're implemented at the end of the sprint. And then after that, you're going to have your sprint review, which is a meeting. You're going to explain how the deliverables work to the stakeholders and examine what went right and what went wrong in that individual sprint. And then that feedback is going to go back into how you plan your future sprints. And you just repeat the process until all of your deliverables are implemented. And it's worth noting that usually in the Scrum method, there's no project manager, there's like Scrum master, and their responsibilities is to just remove obstacles that are in the way of the sprint teams. So instead of overseeing and allocating all these resources or allocating work, the sprint team decides what they're going to do and how they're going to do it. But if issues come up, it's the Scrum master's responsibility to resolve those issues if they're out of the capabilities of the team. So they're going to work typically every single day. You're going to have a 15-minute meeting at the beginning of the day, just short, brief meeting to discuss how your sprint is going. And then the Scrum master is going to try to resolve any issues that have popped up. And then the hybrid project method is essentially just pulling of the strengths and the weaknesses, or not the weaknesses, the strengths of both waterfall and agile. So it's kind of hard to define what hybrid project management is, because it really is tailored to your organization. You're going to pull exactly what you need from the strengths of waterfall and exactly what you need from the strengths of agile. One drawback is, and this is kind of the case for all project management, but especially in hybrid, is that you're only going to be as good as your inputs. So if you have a bad planning process, you're not going to get better at that when you try to do two project management methods. But it is very versatile, and if you can get good at it, that's why most organizations do this. So our approach, we're going to go with a hybrid, just because during the acquisition period, I think that it's going to be useful to have a rigid and linear progression when you're getting through all of the legal work, all of the purchasing, and all of the, going through and negotiating. But then when we go to integrate the companies, I think that agile project management is much more suited to managing people, just because you're going to get constant feedback throughout the process. So when we're integrating these companies and we're trying to create one central organizational culture, we're going to have a lot of conflicting ideals, and we're going to have a lot of abrasiveness between people. So it's more useful to get that constant feedback and to be able to work off of that throughout the phase of the project and throughout sprints. It's going to be more useful to utilize that when we're integrating different companies to be a part of ours. So instead of them being an employee at Gorilla 76, we really want them to feel like an employee at Industrial Insights.
So a little bit about our cross-functional applications. So with our acquisitions, we have expertise in manufacturing, construction, and ERP fields. So I thought of the idea of cross-functional project teams in this scenario. We could assemble teams from our organizations to better serve our customers' needs. So for example, we would put a few people from enterprise consulting together and say a couple from Gorilla 76 and send them to work on a manufacturing project. In that manufacturing project, they would pursue marketing objectives as well as ERP functionality and increased function, which is a huge competitive advantage from the marketing perspective. So I think both these things will work really well together. It allows for improvement in more than one area of the business at the same time. We can share knowledge between our different branches of business, whether that be Gorilla 76, construction marketing, and the enterprise consulting company. And also this setup would have a dedicated project manager for each of the each of the projects we're working on, which would allow improvement to be driven and an organized project in that sense. And then also applications can be integrated with one another, like I said, with the marketing improvements and the ERP at the same time. I believe both those can work hand in hand to really help our manufacturing and construction clients excel their business. And then a little bit in this next slide, I have an example customer, which is a machine shop. I actually interviewed for this job or for a job at a machine shop, and that's how I learned of this company. But they're a local company to me. They've been in business for about 20 years, and they specialize in low tolerance bolts and screws, which are very important pieces to larger parts, such as like train brakes. They make for Westinghouse, which the bolts have to be very exact for that to work. So that's their big competitive advantage. They're a family business and they serve a medium-sized market. And they need inventory visibility. When I went and interviewed there, they had their inventory in boxes and they had no idea what they had at all. So I think that's a huge ERP application right there that we need to work on and implement. They spoke to me about having a job boss system that just wasn't implemented correctly. So I think that's a huge opportunity. And then obviously they are seeking to gain more clients and opportunities, which I think the market approach would really help with. And then we could also do some manufacturing planning optimization through the ERP systems as well. So as you can see, what we provide, the ERP system implementation and monitoring, fully visible inventory, which I think would be a huge benefit for them. And then obviously a customized marketing campaign. As they are in an industrial space, it can be hard to attract clients. And then improve business marketing, improve business processes and cost savings. And something else I wanted to touch on, these low tolerance bolts can be very hard to explain or showcase. I think a marketing campaign with like a video and having the different applications of these bolts and showing the process would be super beneficial to this company specifically. So that's why I threw it in there as an example. And that's our final slide of this presentation.
What the heck was that? That wasn't an undergraduate presentation. That was a freaking master's presentation. That was phenomenal. That was freaking nuts. That was nuts. I loved it. So whenever you mentioned Gorilla 76, I went on LinkedIn and I took a screenshot from my phone and I sent an email to Joe. I said the students are talking about acquiring your company. That was crazy. That was crazy. I loved it. So I have a few questions. Before I ask my questions, does anyone else have questions? Because you all have to kind of take what you've learned from this presentation, and then do your presentation next week. Man, that was good.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
So where do you see like your portfolio and your programs? Where do you see like different projects fitting into each program of your companies?
I guess it would really depend on the client that we're working with, because obviously each of these different companies is going to have their strengths. So like Jared was talking about the case with the low tolerance bolts, I think that would be something we'd go under our ERP prowess. But if somebody's just looking for marketing and a lot of e-commerce stuff, we'd have to throw that under Gorilla 76. I hope I'm addressing the right question.
Yeah, because we're doing portfolio governance next week, so it's a good idea to see like where each thing you would put under.
Any other questions? All right, so real quick, so just to show you, so you see my screen, right? So yeah, Joe Sullivan, he's a founder of Gorilla 76, right? I don't even know how long he had actually owned that company. I thought it was new, or oh man, no, 14 years. I didn't know it was after. I didn't know it had that. No, he only had the podcast for. Yeah, he only started the podcast for less than a year. So yeah, I sent him this message. They felt you were a good acquisition target for their project. They picked you, not me. Then I just took that screenshot. All right. So, but yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. But yeah, so he's fairly responsive. So he'll come back with something. He'll probably come back and say how much they're asking because he has a personality like that. But anyway, so the questions that I had is, so whenever you mention enterprise consulting, I remember that company. How did you find them?
I did some searches about consulting, ERP consulting companies and ERP implementation companies, and I found Enterprise Consulting was really focused on the implementation portion of things, and they didn't have a specific software they wanted to use. And I thought that would be best in the manufacturing field, as there's a lot of different softwares used, and it seems like they had a better, more well-rounded approach than a lot of the other companies I was seeing.
They're like an IFS, it's like an IFS type. Type suite. And then you mentioned Job Boss. I know Job Boss very well. So it's like you all were hitting on the industry terms. So I could tell you obviously did a ton of research. That was obvious. Like you can't BS me in this area. You did a ton of research, right? And the agile discussion, holy crap. Like I used to teach agile at Harrisburg University, and their project management program is agile. And students weren't talking about agile like that. That was nuts. You don't understand how happy I am right now. But so my question is, where'd you find that research?
So I did primarily the most of the research on that, and a lot of it was just from what we talked about in class.
Yeah.
And what you presented to us, and then there were a few YouTube videos that I found that explained it super well with a lot of graphics.
Yeah.
They're cited in our references if anybody wants to know them, but they weren't even that complicated. They're only like 5 or 10 minutes long each. I think I watched like 3 or 4 of them. And then having the discussions, especially the project management class last semester, kind of already knew the terminology and the framework of it, and then just seeing it again and seeing it presented in a different way, it kind of just clicked pretty well.
Yeah, you got the Scrum and the Kanban like spot on. I'm like, what in the heck is going on right now? Because like people in the industry can't get it. So that's why I'm blown away by it. Right? People in the 30s and 40s that are trying to sit for a certified Scrum Master can't get what that team just talked about. Right? And that's why that slide, people pay me $250 an hour to present to them. And it wasn't that difficult, now was it? Right? So that's the thing. So that's why I'm just very excited about what y'all went through just now. So in the hybrid approach, you knocked that out of the park, spot on. It's called a hybrid approach because you can tailor it to your organization. That was spot on. And that was huge. What else did I have? How did you all create the mission? That mission statement was pretty solid.
Well, I came up with like the first draft of the mission statement, and then Jared and I kind of ping-ponged ideas off of each other until we kind of found something that really fit what we were going for with our company.
Excellent. Yeah, and I like the whole construction piece, because like I think like an overlooked thought is you acquire a construction company. If I have a portfolio, I want to acquire a construction company when I want to expand on any organization within my portfolio, right? That's huge and brilliant. I'm telling you, it was crazy. But I'm gonna say it again, this was crazy. But question, so whenever you're mentioning you're all about inclusion, what's your definition of inclusion? There's no right or wrong answer. I just want to get where you're coming from.
Like inclusion's kind of hard because when I learned about it, it's like taught side by side with diversity. So it's kind of like you're including everybody collectively in a workplace. So that was always my.
I'll jump in too. I think having a diverse workforce is one thing, but making sure that that diverse workforce actually has a say in what the company does. It's not enough just to hire somebody. If you're going to hire, a minority, they really have to actually have stake in your company and actually be making decisions, or else you're just doing it as a PR thing.
Right.
If,
Right.
if their impact isn't felt, then it's not inclusion.
Yeah. And Sherry, I know I'm mentioning the name Sherry Heinisch a lot, but like she had the Supply Chain Revolution podcast. I think like her analogy is like the best one I found. So she'll say diversity and inclusion. So diversity is asking somebody to the prom. Inclusion is asking them to dance. I said, man, that's phenomenal. Right? Because that's exactly what Sam just said. Diversity, I can hire all the Hispanics, all the blacks I want to, right? But are they a part of the decision-making process of my organization? Are they included? Right? That's what it's about. And that's what a lot of organizations are missing. And I say it in the podcast, and I'll say it in here because I can. People ask me this. I did just sign on the board this week, but some people ask me to come on the board just to put a black face on the board, right? But if I'm the only one, it's not happening. I just signed on on the board for a blockchain company. And what I do, I went and seen who was there, and they had an African American lady already on the board. Let's go. Give me the paperwork. Let's go. Let's crack some heads. You know how I am. But yeah, like I said, the nonprofit piece, huge. Nonprofit piece, huge. That's where you're talking about the triple bottom line, that philanthropy piece. That's big. The powerful thing, the powerful comment. What was that again? What was that statement again for the powerful thing?
A powerful communication builds a powerful business.
Yeah, that's a trademark. That was awesome. Yeah, you went to the enterprise consulting again. Agile was phenomenal. Like I said, the whole pivoting piece. Yeah, the whole pivoting piece that Sam opened with. That's what you do in project management. If you think it's a train wreck at the beginning, it's going to be an absolute train wreck. So pivot. And you all made the correct decision on that, right? So, team two, what's your thoughts on them pivoting from their original idea? Is their new approach going to make your project easier?
Definitely yes. I like this idea a lot better.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a lot easier to follow, especially with the goals they listed.
Excellent. All right. Any other questions? I know team 2 wanted to all right, so any other questions before I go to the next step? Man, my hair looks nuts today, man. This is crazy. Why y'all telling me my hair looks crazy? Got a little faux hawk going on. Things flipping up. Anyway, that's beside the point. Anything else? All right. So yeah, last thing to wrap up. That was the best undergrad presentation I've seen. Just to be real. I talk a lot of junk. That was phenomenal. That was huge. So team two, what do you all want to do? Like break out in groups, or do you want to ask team 1 questions? And how are y'all going to send that PowerPoint to team 2? Let me see here. Let me see if I can go into class and figure it out.
I think all the people are listed in Canvas, and then I can just throw their name into Outlook, and their email will pop up. So I can email it to you guys.
Yeah, email it to everybody, or you can email it to me. You know what? It might be. Can I put a presentation on? I forget
that for Canvas that you can like upload.
I was just going to do an announcement.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Sam, email it to me. I'll do an announcement right now. That'd
Okay.
be the easiest way. It'd be in a centralized place.
Do we need to turn it in anywhere? Or I guess since we're emailing it to you.
Just email it. Just email it and we're good. I have to create. I think I have to create the assignment anyway to give you a grade. I may give you a passing grade on that one. I don't know. I gotta think about it. Let me see here. Sam, what you doing, dude?
I just sent it over. I had to download it off of Outlook.
Catherine said, I'm glad to get out of that jacket.
Yeah, I had it on way too long today.
Like that presentation is something like you would upload on LinkedIn. That would be something like you would pluck slides out on and add to your portfolio when you're going to a job interview. Right. So just circling back to what Cynthia said, whenever she's talking about upload doc like papers and things like that, like you do stuff like that. You know. So all right, so got that. Save as. And in going into the business world, you're gonna be handing off things like this from team to team, right? So if that first team finishes strong, like team 2, now it's up to you to mess it up. Like no, seriously, I'm being like dead serious right now. That's what happens in business. So if a leader of an organization sees that, they say, man, that team just killed it. So if something goes wrong with this project, now I have to look at team 2 and say, what in the heck happened? Seriously, that's how we look at things from a business perspective. So it's up to you to mess it up. I'm just being real, because this thing is strong. You know, don't weaken it. Keep it strong all the way through. And that's how we look at things from a project management perspective. And that's how you look at things from a portfolio management perspective. That makes sense? Okay. Like I said, I wasn't joking about that. That's just how leaders think. Right? So it probably came out wrong, but hopefully you get what I was talking about. All right. So that is uploaded. That's uploaded on the announcements. So do you all want to go in the breakout rooms? Do you want to discuss it within here, or you just want to shut it down tonight? I know we've been going for a long time.
I have a question.
Mhm.
For the PowerPoint the presentation PowerPoint that you uploaded for the portfolio governance, can you go over that real quick, like what you expect out of it?
Well, this is a team one presentation. You're talking about your presentation?
Yeah.
All right, give me a second. Why, you nervous now or something?
I just want to make sure that I'm doing it right.
All right, give me a second. All right, so share my screen. Share screen, boom, boom. So for you all have the organizations, right? So you can pretty much pluck the organizations from team one's presentation. You know, do a quick overview. You know, just do a quick overview of those companies. I mean, like 1 minute aside, for example, right? But then you're going to do research, and then you're going to go into portfolio governance. Okay. Let me see here. So yeah, you went through all this, explain why portfolio management is similar. Yep. We already went through the method. You know, they already went through the method. So we got that. Now, another thing that I want you to talk about, now write this down. I want you to also discuss about project portfolio risk in these different organizations. Because although team one did do a great job, there's going to be a risk in every single project. I don't care how good it is. Because what team one did at this point in time in the project, it's all theoretical. We hadn't put it in action yet, right? So for example, we could acquire the Gorilla 76, and Joe could absolutely hate that construction company because he knows them, but we don't know that, right? Because we're not going to go to Joe Sullivan and say, hey, we're trying to acquire this construction company as well, right? And then he says, what the heck did y'all just do? I know that you guy's an absolute jerk. I am not working with him by any means, but we don't know that until it happens. Right? So that's some of the risk. That's some of the risk that you're gonna see in the real world, right? I mean, I'm mentioning those things because I've seen those things. You'll be amazed at things that I've seen, right? So, and that's why I say that you're not gonna be able, and given that team pivoted, you're not gonna be able to BS me right now. If they would have went with step one, I'd be like, okay, because I have no clue about that industry. But they're in this industry now. They're in my wheelhouse now. So you better come correct. Because I know when you're going to be trying to pull the wool, right? But I think that that's beneficial because now you have to do your research, right? So like I said, project governance is going to be very important. Again, do the project risks. All right. And you know what? I'm going to add one more piece. Team one, what else would you want them to look at? Based on what you reviewed, what else would you want them to look at on those organizations that you did not look at? I'm being agile. You get it? You see that? You see what just happened just there? Okay. Anything?
I'll say, I mean, we've looked into it, but I guess the most important thing would be commonalities among the company's vision and mission statement, because that's essentially going to dictate the culture.
I like that.
It would be
I like
easier
that.
to combine it all together if you can find common ground. If you can establish some common ground, you at least have one thing that everybody can get along on. So it'll make the more abrasive parts of integrating companies a bit easier.
That's a good point. That's a good point in that now that you have acquired new organizations, right? Now you all revamped your mission statement at the high level, right? Because you weren't looking at the mission statement of those other companies, right? Does that mean that you didn't look, Catherine, or you did look and then you created that?
I created mine first, and then I found companies like with Gorilla 76. I made sure that their vision statement kind of matched ours.
But you didn't look at all those companies.
No, I didn't personally.
Okay. So all right. So frame it like your organization has the mission statement that Catherine and the team just created, right? Then look at the mission statements of all these companies that they're going to acquire, right? And then do exactly what Sam said, find the similarities, and now say, okay, this is the revised mission statement that we talked about in week 1. Did it stay the same, or why did it change? Does that make sense? All right, that was a good one, Sam. That was a really good one. Y'all are on fire tonight. Y'all did like 5 mic drops. Just crazy.
Learning from the best, man.
This is crazy. Anything else y'all want to see? They're like, y'all, you need to shut up. You're giving us too much work. We good? All right. Amazing job. So team 2, do y'all want to stay on? Y'all just gonna talk amongst each other?
I'm sure we can just meet before next week, so we should be good.
Okay. All right. Y'all have a great week. Team 1, that was absolutely crazy. That was a great job. And I tell you if it was okay. You know I would tell you.
Yeah, how long till we start getting 250 an hour for that?
Say again?
How long until we start getting 250 an hour for that?
Hey, you're on your way. I'm telling you, if you demonstrate that you know these things, like if you have any interest in agile project management and you get certifications and you get those different levels of project management, and then you start being a project manager, you'll start getting 250 an hour. It's going to take a while, but you're going to get there. Because like I said, that's what people pay me to do. I created the agile project management class for the state of Colorado. And the slides you had in there, that's the stuff I was talking about. It's not rocket science. It's not rocket. It's halfway common sense now, isn't it? It's halfway common sense, right? That's why I tried to explain. That's why I tried to explain to undergrads. This stuff is not hard to make 6 figures. Like I said before, I said in the first project management class, I was making 6 figures at 23 years old, doing that stuff that Tim 1 just talked about. It's not difficult, right? It just takes persistence, and it just takes learning the basic content. The basic content that y'all learned at Penn State is I've said it 15 times already. It's the top supply chain school in the world. And you see that this stuff is not complicated. Supply chain students get paid the same, if not more, than engineers, and they have to learn all that math stuff. Think about it. And they hate their jobs. Trust me, I know. Right? But it's the environment. It's the environment you have to deal with in some cases. You have to have thick skin, right? I mean, like I said before, it's tough for females, but if you have thick skin, you'll do very well. I face discrimination in some part, especially Florida, Alabama. Oh, goodness gracious. Right? But you just got to work through it, you know, and be persistent. And if you get, and like I said, it's a very lucrative discipline because not many people know about it. Supply chain, higher education, Penn State, Arizona State, Michigan State, Arkansas, University of Tennessee, North Carolina A&T, where I got my undergrad. Those are always top 10, always top 10. Penn State, Arizona State, Michigan State, always top 3 in the world. No question. No question. So leverage that. I say that to leverage it. Because like I told Sam before, I got a PhD, but some of these institutions said, oh, you went to grad school at Penn State? So you don't see that PhD? No, we see the Penn State because we know Penn State's the strongest supply chain. But I'm saying leverage it. I meant to ask that question to Cynthia, but you know, like I said, in the industry, everybody, if you're looking for a supply chain role, everybody knows Penn State's strong. I had General Dynamics call me at 9 o'clock Friday morning. Said we want an undergrad and we want them on site in the next 2 weeks. Right? They wanted undergrads from December, so sorry. Because I did ask about y'all. Seriously. It's like, no, we need them, they need to be graduated already. Because then we need them to literally start in 2 weeks. They're given jobs. They're given jobs. Because the inventory control manager, he graduated out of UP. I think he said 2019. So the manager's from Penn State. So of course he's going to hire from Penn State. No question. Right? So not to rant, but again, like I said, you don't have to believe me. Just Google it. Just Google it. You know. So this is an industry. This is a discipline. Like I said, I mean, I know some of you are in general business, but general business, it's like the dream jobs, that management trainee program where you rotate, you know, from site to site. That's huge, right? But in supply chain, these people are getting. Did I mention the one student from Bloomsburg that I got a job for at Infor? C student from Bloomsburg, 70 grand. Got my job at Infor, consultant, 70 grand. Did I mention C student? And he'll tell you that. He'll be the first one to tell you that. But he had an interest in supply chain. And because I gave him the blueprint, and I told him to read my book that I wrote on ERP systems, the recruiter said that they've never seen they've never seen an undergrad that knew about ERP systems like he did. Right? You gotta have the passion, you gotta have the persistence. Like I said, I give you the playbook. Just gotta follow it. I'm not being conceited. I know these people in the industry. Like I said, just go on my LinkedIn. I know the people in the industry. And if I co-sign, it's a wrap. Now let me back up. I don't co-sign for everybody. Now, everybody in this class, I would co-sign for everybody in this class. But a lot of people at Penn State, no, sir, no, ma'am, no, not happening. Right? Like I said, that my morning class, whenever Cynthia came in that class and 3 of them dropped off, I was heated. Now let them know about it. You think I'm gonna co-sign for them for anything? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. That's not part of my job description. I don't have to do that. But if any of you on this call ask for it, I got you. All right. Sorry, I ran like 5 times a day. I'm sorry. I apologize. I apologize every week, don't I? All right. I'll let y'all go. Keep asking questions. I'm gonna keep ranting. Anything else? All right. Y'all have a good week.
Thank you.
Yeah. Great job, Catherine. Great job, Jared. How's this thing not recording?